graduate nursing.
Nice to meet you.
Oh, and Bonnie had to go, right, yeah. So we will go ahead and get started. So we're gonna start with your presentation, and then we'll go ahead and move into asking you a series of questions.
Okay.
Are you ready?
This is a project I did, bless you, a project I did on developing novice nurses into education. The setting that I am looking at is clinical setting and in the classroom setting. And Walt Disney said, "You can dream, create, design, and build the most wonderful place in the world, but it requires people to make the dream a reality." And that's one of my 411 cohorts from about a year and a half ago. So the goals in the program that I designed are, when you hire new people, an onboarding process where we teach them how the tools that they need to be an educator, whether it be in clinical or the classroom. They need to understand how the flow of the day would go. They might be a nurse for 18 years like I was when I started, but I didn't know how to convey how to be a nurse to the students. So it took time to figure that out. So I came up with a program where we could give them the tools where you don't have to figure it out. So give them an education onboarding teaching where they learn the basics of the day for clinical, or in a classroom setting, they learn teaching styles and how to teach in the classroom. The second part of the program is mentorship, and that would utilize mentorship to develop your educators. So take your top mentors, people who've worked here for a long time, assign them to all your new hires, and make sure that they're accountable to that mentor, and the mentor is accountable to them, and have a team approach using mentorship. And then at the end, you achieve more by having a team approach with mentors, because you can use reflection, feedback, and improve student outcomes. That's the goals. So it's set up in 3 parts. In the beginning, you would do an orientation onboarding program that can be done through podcasts or video of feedback that they watch. And then they would also have to do educator competencies and checklists. And I also wanted to include faith integration, because when I did my project, I interviewed many instructors, and 4 that I interviewed of clinical instructors, 0 of 4 integrate faith in the clinical setting. So I thought that was interesting, because we are a faith-based school, and we're trying to teach them how to include faith into their practice. And it matters with patient feedback now and patient satisfaction. They find that nurses who are trained in a faith-based university usually do better because they incorporate the whole person. But if we're not teaching how to incorporate the whole person, how are we going to have them doing that? The second part of the program, as I mentioned, was mentorship. So you choose mentors who are people who've worked within the university for a while, and people who you think will work well with other people. Assign them and have them accountable to the new hires, and have it for a period of about a year. And they can go meeting with them, they can call them, text them, and kind of lean on them when they start if they have any trouble with being an educator. Third part is reflecting and finding out what did we do that worked and what did we do that did not work. And sometimes new hires might bring in information from their past that helps us as an educator. So it can work both ways, but the reflection would be where you discuss, and you could bring on new things into our university. And this is the first part 1. So that's my husband and my son when he was younger. And we need to work on teaching how to teach. As I mentioned before, we come in as with nurses with very strong nursing background, but that doesn't mean we convey it. So teach them how to teach. And then the middle portion is competencies and checklists. They should be accountable that they learn the information. They don't just show up and walk around, that they learn the information. And then the last part, again, like I said, is integrating faith into our teaching in every single classroom and in our clinical setting. And then the middle part was the mentorship. Mentorship is huge to me. I did all of my field work and internship at Azusa Pacific with Dr. Murdoch, and it was amazing. I learned so much being assigned to a mentor and someone who I was accountable to her and she was accountable to me. And I learned so much from that process. And I think mentorship is not utilized enough, that we could really learn from the other people who teach. And what does God say about mentorship? As iron sharpens iron, so one man sharpens another, is Proverbs 27:17. And he who walks with the wise grows wise, Proverbs 13:20. This is the last part, the reflection part. It's important when we teach to find out, are we effective? So during the process of the new hires, they could do go meetings. If they don't live close to someone, they could text. I've done go meetings with Dr. Azar before, and I know they can be effective. We can learn a lot. Also, using Kaplan. Our Kaplan system, I learned during my internship, has so many features that our instructors don't know about. It has where we can utilize how is one instructor doing better than another? Why is one campus scoring higher on Kaplan than a different campus? I think that in my program, we utilize more of evaluating Kaplan. Another part would be to collaborate as a team. So get together, even if it's once or twice a year. I know we already do our staff development, and when we separate, do more of a team approach of what we can do to achieve better. And developing everything through collaboration and mentorship. And these are my two mentors, Renee Marquez, who got me into this, and I've known her for about 12 years. And every great achiever is inspired by a great mentor. And there's also Murdoch. So according to the International Journal of Mentoring and Coaching in Education, for both mentors and proteges, the higher they rated the quality of the mentoring relationship, the more job satisfaction they reported. Nursing educator affects student outcomes. So according to research, my project originally was much more than 10 minutes, so I cut a lot out, but there's a lot of research into how effective your teachers are is how effective your students become. So you have to have effective teachers, and you need to make sure that everything is equal. Every class should be exactly the same. Every clinical experience should be the same. Through research, we found that that is true. Improve, clear expectations. When you have a mentor, you give them clear expectations, and they give the new hire their expectations at clinical or in the classroom. And then outcomes. Solid instruction eventually improves patient outcomes, because the nurses that we put out into school are the ones taking care of the patients. I made a map of how it would work, and you start with your workshop, you obtain the skills, you go through mentorship, and then after the mentorship, we go through Kaplan and other assessments that we can use that are numbers of how well we're educating. And then we can go into achieving improvement on our students, job satisfaction, and feeling achievement. The program that I designed is very cost effective. The only thing that would cost that I added was that we don't provide orientation. I've gone twice this year on my own time with people we hired because it's necessary. Even if we did 6 hours, when you show up at a clinical site and you've never been at the hospital and no one shows you what to do, you're very lost. And so we need just a little bit of orientation. The other parts would be completely free, because it's just they watch a podcast on their own time. They have to do skills checkoffs, and they would attend the meetings we already do. Opportunities for improvement at Azusa Pacific School of Nursing. We need to create an onboarding process that's equal and the same for every new hire, if it's from clinical to the classroom. We need to develop a mentorship program where we can have mentors that are accountable to the new hires. And use SMART goals checklists to develop staff. I put an example of a SMART goal. This is how you use SMART goals. It's specific, It's meaningful, it's action-oriented, it's realistic, and it's timely. So they would have a specific checklist of what they have to get done to be an educator within a certain period of time. Those are my kids, that was a few years ago. That was a sign they hung up in the emergency room. So improve our outcomes. You know, when we have well-trained nurses, overall patient care improves. Improve job satisfaction. We lose a lot of employees because they feel lost, or they feel like they're really not sure if they like it because they're not sure how the day should go. Improve patient satisfaction through well-trained staff that we put out at the university. Improve staff retention. Improve our Kaplan scores would be a huge goal for many of our campuses. And overall NCLEX pass rates by making sure that each teacher is improving those Kaplan scores and improving how they're going to pass NCLEX at the end of our program. And most of all, we need to put out good nurses. That's it.
Thank you.
Great job.
Very nice.
Great job.
Very nice. And very applicable. for
Yes.
sure. Yeah.
Very tall.
There was one semester that I had a large number of brand new adjuncts in the clinical setting that had